We didn't tell you because you tend to make people uncomfortable. That's what my sister Alicia told me when I found out they'd thrown a massive party for her without even mentioning it to me. Not a text, not a call, not a single damn word. My name is Nancy Miles. I'm 33. I've lived in Denver for the past 8 years, working freelance as a writer and editor for small businesses. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills. It gives me peace. Growing up, I was always the quiet one, the odd one. Alicia was the golden child, top of her class, med school, now a successful pediatric surgeon. My mom loved showing her off at church, at barbecues, even at the damn grocery store. And me? I was trying to find my path. That's what she'd tell people when they asked what I did. I've always tried not to let it get to me. I show up to holidays, bring thoughtful gifts, stay late to help clean up. I laugh at the same stories they've told for 20 years. And somehow, I always leave feeling smaller than when I came. But this was something else. It started when my cousin Danielle texted me a picture of Alicia holding a crystal plaque. She was standing under a balloon arch that read, Doctor, Alicia, a decade of healing. Confetti on the floor. My entire extended family behind her, smiling with champagne glasses in hand. My stomach dropped. What's this? I texted back, fingers trembling. Danielle replied, Alicia's 10-year celebration at the hospital. We all went. Was amazing. You weren't there? I stared at that message like it was written in another language. I scrolled through my inbox, my texts, our family group chat, and realized something. I wasn't in the group chat anymore. I don't know when they took me out. I don't know who did it, but I do know no one said a word. I called Mom, straight to voicemail. I waited a day and then called Alicia. She picked up on the third ring. Hey, I said, trying to sound casual, though my voice cracked. I saw Danielle's photo. I didn't know about your party. A long pause. Then Alicia sighed. Yeah, well, it wasn't really for everyone. Everyone else was there. Another pause. Nancy, look, I didn't want to say this, but you have a way of making things heavy. You bring weird energy. That's not what I needed that night. Her voice was calm, flat, like she was telling me I forgot to return a borrowed sweater. So you just excluded me? I asked, stunned. It's not that deep, she said. We just didn't want drama. I couldn't speak. My throat closed. After we hung up, I went to the kitchen and stood there for nearly 10 minutes, holding the fridge door open, not even remembering what I was looking for. That night, I couldn't sleep. At 2:30 a.m., I found myself digging through my old documents. I don't know what I was hoping to find. Maybe proof that I had a place somewhere. What I did find was something I hadn't thought about in years. It was a folder labeled Sunset Drive Property. Inside were purchase agreements, bank statements, and my name. My legal name. 3 years ago, when Mom's roof collapsed, I'd used a portion of my freelance savings and helped refinance the house under my LLC to avoid foreclosure. I'd asked for nothing in return. No thanks. No recognition. I guess I forgot, because they never acknowledged it again. But there it was in writing. I was the majority stakeholder. That house, the one where Alicia hosted birthday brunches, where they took holiday family photos without me, was mine more than it was theirs. I sat down on the floor, folder still in hand, my heart pounding louder than the ticking clock on the wall. And for the first time in years, a new thought pushed its way through the heartbreak. They don't think I matter. Maybe it's time I remind them. I didn't sleep that night. My mind was on fire. I sat on my bedroom floor, surrounded by old documents I hadn't looked at in years, rereading every page. There it was, plain as day, the refinance agreement. The transfer of 70% ownership into my LLC. The deed registered under Sunlight Ventures, which was me. Me alone. When Mom called me crying about the roof caving in, I didn't hesitate. She said she didn't want to lose the family house. I used $48,000 of my savings to save it. I paid the taxes every year. I covered repairs. Quietly. Because that's what you do for family, even when they make you feel like an outsider in your own bloodline. Turns out, all I bought was a front row seat to my own erasure. 3 days after that sleepless night, I decided to pay a visit. Not to argue, just to see. Just to feel how deep the rot went. It was a Saturday morning. I drove out to the house, parked across the street. The yard was freshly mowed. There were balloons tied to the porch rail. Through the window, I saw people. Laughter, movement, drinks being poured. It was Alicia's birthday. I sat in my car for 20 minutes before I finally got out and crossed the street. My hands were ice cold. My knees shook. I rang the doorbell. The music dimmed. A shadow passed across the window and the door opened. It was Mom. She looked surprised for exactly 2 seconds, then pulled that tight, polite smile I hadn't seen since I was 16. "Oh, Nancy, we weren't expecting you." "I figured," I said. "Now's not really the best time. We're hosting," she said carefully, glancing behind her. "I can see that." I looked over her shoulder. Alicia was by the kitchen island, holding court, laughing, gorgeous and untouchable. Mom stepped outside and pulled the door halfway shut behind her. "I hope you didn't come to cause a scene." That stung more than I expected. "I came because you didn't invite me." Again. She let out a slow sigh. "Honey, it's not personal." "I'm your daughter," I said. "That feels personal." Behind her, someone called out, "Margaret, we're doing cake." Mom looked back, then turned to me again. "You've always been different, Nancy. You overthink things. Sometimes you make people uneasy." My breath caught in my chest. "You mean Alicia told you that?" "She didn't have to." Mom stepped back toward the door. "Please don't ruin this day." "Don't worry," I said. "I won't ruin anything." And I turned around and walked back to my car, barely holding in the sob that rose up from somewhere so deep it scared me. I cried the whole way home. And then I stopped crying. Completely. I felt something colder settle inside me. The next morning, I emailed my lawyer. Her name's Jasmine Park. Calm, direct, brilliant. I sent her everything. The deed, the payment records, the emails, even the texts Alicia sent me over the years calling me needy or unstable. We met the following Monday. "Do you want to sell the house?" she asked, eyes scanning the documents. "No," I said. "I want to end their assumption they own it. I want to take back what I paid for." Jasmine nodded slowly. "We can begin the process to assert full legal control, including an eviction, if it comes to that." "Will they fight it?" "They can try, but they'd lose." I stared at the papers in front of me. My chest was tight, but it wasn't fear. It was clarity. "I don't want revenge," I said. "I just want to stop begging for a seat at their table." Jasmine smiled softly. "Then let's build your own table." That week, we sent the first legal notice, a formal assertion of majority ownership and notice of intent to review occupancy terms. In short, a warning shot. Mom never responded. Alicia, though, she sent a text. Just 2 words. "You're sick." I didn't reply. What was there to say? But then something happened. 4 days after the letter was sent, a neighbor, Mr. Halverson, who lived 2 doors down from them, called me. We hadn't spoken in years. He said, "Nancy, I don't want to get involved, but there was a moving truck in front of the house this morning. I saw Alicia and your mom carrying boxes out. Looked serious." I hung up, stunned. They were moving? Without a fight? Something wasn't right. I needed to know why. The next day, Jasmine forwarded me a digital copy of a quitclaim deed. It had been filed that morning. Alicia's name was on it. She'd signed away any claim to the house, without contest. But that wasn't the shocking part. The form listed a $1 transfer amount, a token gesture. And the address it came from? A mental wellness center in Boulder. When Jasmine told me Alicia had signed the quitclaim deed from a wellness center, I thought it was a mistake. She confirmed the address twice. I Googled it. It wasn't a yoga retreat. It was a 30-day residential program for emotional rehabilitation and burnout recovery. And Alicia, Dr. Alicia Miles, the one everyone worshipped, was inside. At first, I laughed. Not because I thought it was funny. It was more like my body didn't know what else to do with the sheer absurdity of it all. The golden child, the surgeon, the perfect one, checking herself into a mental facility, while I was being called the unstable one for years. But the laughter didn't last, because underneath it there was this deep, gnawing anger. Not at Alicia's breakdown, but at the fact that it took this for anyone to finally see how twisted things had been all along. I didn't cause Alicia's collapse. I didn't put her in that place. She did that herself. But I wasn't going to let her unraveling become my blame. Not this time. The same day I drove to the house. I had to see it for myself. Empty, abandoned, quiet. There was no for sale sign. Just a dark porch and an overstuffed mailbox. I walked around the back. The garden Mom used to plant roses in was nothing but dry dirt and weeds now. A broken wind chime squeaked in the wind. I unlocked the back door and stepped inside. And just like that, I was 17 again. Same creaky floorboards, same wallpaper curling in the corners, same stale scent of lemon cleaner and lavender air freshener. I walked through every room. Silence everywhere. No warmth. No photos of me on any wall. Still. But then something stopped me cold. I opened the hallway closet, and there, shoved between old board games and torn winter coats, was a shoebox. I don't know why I reached for it. Maybe instinct. Inside were letters, dozens, most addressed to me, birthday cards, holiday notes. Even a couple from my aunt in Arizona, the one I'd always thought had forgotten about me. All unopened, all dated over the last 10 years, my name scrawled in familiar handwriting. Some were even marked, "Return to sender, undeliverable." I sat down on the floor, trembling. My heart pounded like I'd run a mile barefoot. These were letters meant for me. People had reached out. But someone had made sure I never saw them. Mom, Alicia. Whoever it was, they'd cut me off deeper than I ever imagined. They didn't just forget me. They erased me. I don't know how long I sat there. Maybe an hour, maybe more. But when I stood up, I felt something shift inside me. This wasn't just about being excluded from birthday parties anymore. This was coordinated. This was deliberate. I'd spent years thinking I was the problem. Too quiet, too intense, too different. Turns out they worked overtime to make sure I believed that. And then came the part that made my blood run cold. Taped to the bottom of the shoebox was a sticky note, folded in half, written in Alicia's handwriting. It said, "She can't know. She always comes back when she feels wanted. Don't ruin that." That was it. That's what I was to them. A tool, a fallback. A presence they could ignore until they needed to feel generous. They didn't fear losing me. They feared not controlling me. I took a photo of the note. I emailed it to Jasmine without a single word in the body. Later that night, I got a text from my mother. It read, "You went into the house. That was our space, Nancy. You've crossed a line." I stared at the message, shaking, because what she didn't know was that I'd already changed the locks that morning. The next few weeks were a quiet storm. Jasmine filed for full legal possession and residency rights of the house. Nothing contested. The paperwork was airtight. I had my name on everything. There wasn't a loophole left for them to crawl through. I didn't tell anyone, not even my best friend Claire. I didn't want sympathy. I didn't want advice. I wanted to move, act, build, without explanation, the way Alicia and my mother had always done. For years, I'd played the understanding daughter, the peacemaker, the ghost who showed up with wine and left without making noise. Not anymore. I wasn't just taking back a house. I was taking back my voice. The first thing I did was gut the living room. stripped every fake memory off the wall, took down the canvas print of Alicia in her graduation cap that had hung over the mantel for a decade, tossed it in a box labeled Unclaimed Sentiment. Then I had new paint rolled on. Something bright, warm, mine. Next came the locks. Not just at the front door. I changed everything. Mailbox, garage, even the damn padlock on the backyard shed. If they wanted access to anything on that property, they'd need to go through me. Still, I waited. I knew the silence wouldn't last. It didn't. Exactly 26 days after I changed the locks, I got a letter. Certified mail. From an attorney representing Alicia. I opened it at the kitchen counter, hands calm, pulse steady. It was a cease and desist. Apparently, Alicia was claiming I'd illegally accessed the family home while she was undergoing medical treatment, and that she had unresolved personal property inside the house, including medical equipment and private journals. I laughed out loud. Because what Alicia didn't know, what they never knew, was that I had installed full security cameras in every common area of the house a year before all this began. Not for them, for the plumbing contractors, for insurance. But those recordings? They showed Alicia packing her own belongings into her SUV. Boxes, suitcases, a locked medical cabinet. She left nothing behind, except one thing. A dusty bin in the attic with my childhood books. Books she once told Mom to donate. Because Nancy doesn't need kid stuff cluttering up the house anymore. I sent Jasmine the footage. We drafted a response and countered with a formal warning of harassment and defamation. That's when things started to unravel. Fast. Because 3 days after our response was filed, I got a call from an unknown number. I let it ring. Then my voicemail lit up. I played it. It was a man's voice. Shaky. Nervous. Hi. This message is for Nancy Miles. My name's Kevin Sanders. I work at the Boulder Wellness Center. I probably shouldn't be doing this, but something's been bothering me. One of our recent clients, Alicia Miles, listed you as her emergency contact during intake. We tried to reach you, but someone else answered the phone. A woman who said she was you. But when I saw your name in the legal news, I realized it wasn't the same voice. I just thought you should know. I dropped my phone. My mother. She'd pretended to be me. She intercepted the wellness center's calls. She inserted herself where she didn't belong. She made sure Alicia was shielded, protected, babied. Just like always, even if it meant faking my identity. I stared at the wall for a long time after that. Not sad, not shocked. Just numb. How far were they willing to go to erase me? I called Jasmine and played her the message. She was silent for a moment, then said, Nancy, this isn't just dysfunctional. This is legally actionable. If she impersonated you on a medical form, we could pursue criminal identity fraud. But what if I don't want court? I asked. What if I want them to feel what I felt? Quietly. She paused again, then said, Then we make a move that doesn't shout, but leaves a permanent mark. So that's what we did. And 1 week later, the final blow landed. I sent Alicia and my mother one last envelope, hand-delivered by courier. Inside? A copy of the new deed. The house had been transferred to a local nonprofit that supports women aging out of the foster system. They'd be converting the space into transitional housing. I wouldn't make a cent from it. I didn't want to. I just wanted them to know they could never come home again. The morning the nonprofit took over the house, I stood across the street, coffee in hand, watching a new beginning take shape from the ruins of everything I once begged to be part of. A white van pulled up. 3 young women stepped out, each carrying plastic totes and duffel bags. One of them, maybe 19, looked up at the porch and whispered, Is this really ours? I had to look away. My throat closed. Not from grief. Not anymore. From peace. The house no longer belonged to me. Or to them. It belonged to someone who actually needed it. Someone who wouldn't use it to exclude, erase, or control. Later that week, I got an email from Jasmine. Subject line, Update: Alicia and Margaret. Apparently, after the house transfer became public record, Alicia's medical board opened an internal ethics review. Jasmine had submitted evidence of the impersonation and Alicia's alleged involvement in coercive behavior tied to medical decision-making during her stay at the wellness center. I stared at the email for a long time. Not out of revenge, out of awe. Because for once, consequences weren't mine to carry. The board suspended Alicia's license for 6 months pending review. Not just for the impersonation, but for her failure to disclose family interference during a psychiatric hold. As for my mother, 1 week after the house transfer, she sent me a letter. 3 pages long. Not apologizing, just explaining. I didn't know how to love you when you didn't do what I expected. I kept waiting for you to change. I never asked if you were already whole. She ended it with, "Please, if there's any chance left, I still want to be your mom." I didn't reply. Because what do you say to someone who spent years convincing you that being yourself was a problem they needed to fix? Some people want forgiveness just to avoid facing the silence that comes after. I don't owe her an answer. Closure isn't always a door you walk through together. Sometimes it's just the sound of it finally locking behind you. Alicia never reached out. Not once. But I heard through Claire, who still talks to someone in that circle, that Alicia moved in with our aunt in Oregon. She's reevaluating everything. Good. Let her. She gets to rebuild. And so do I. These days, I live in a small apartment with tall windows and no photos I didn't put up myself. I write full-time now. Real stuff. Stories like this. Truth that stings a little but lands clean. Sometimes I still pass by the old neighborhood. Not often. But when I do, I never stop. I just look through the rearview mirror like you do with anything that once tried to break you and realize it doesn't have that power anymore. Sometimes justice doesn't come with applause. It comes with quiet decisions made in rooms no one else sees. And healing isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like choosing not to answer the door. If any part of this story hits home, you're not alone. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Maybe share what closure looked like for you. And if you want to hear more stories like this, you know where to find me. Thanks for listening. Really.